What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today we're coming back for another episode of the Fight IQ Unplugged. And this week I had the pleasure and the opportunity to have a chat with Leslie Hernandez. Leslie is an MMA professional athlete. She's currently fighting for the NFA promotion and she has all it takes to be a future headliner from the sport. So let's cut to the chase and call her. What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today I'm with Leslie Hernandez. Thank you, Leslie, for being with us.
Thank you for having me today.
So, Leslie, you're an MMA fighter. You're actually contracted by LFA. You have a professional record of 3-1 at the moment, representing MMA Lab. But could you first share with us how you came to MMA? I know that you have a Taekwondo and boxing background, but when was the first time you decided to go to MMA?
So I went to MMA back in 2000. I tried jiu-jitsu for the first time ever in 2016, and then I didn't transfer fully to MMA to like 2019,
Okay.
summer 2019, but I did do my MMA amateur debut in 2018.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty recent still that you started MMA,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And what attracted you to MMA?
So I always wanted to do mixed martial arts. When I first started, I was 8 years old and I started Taekwondo, and then I did that for about 7, 8 years as a kid. At first, it was just like kind of like to do something else besides in school and like just being at home. Um, and I kind of just did it for fun, but I actually ended up like really liking it, and I
Yeah.
competed a lot. I did over like 300 competitions, and that's in those 7 years. And then I started boxing when I was 13,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when took it serious. That's when I my first boxing fight. That's when I was like, oh, I want to do this. Like I want to make this a career. And then I wanted to go to the Olympics for 2020 for boxing.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I couldn't do that, and that's when I was like, since I started boxing, that's when I was like, I'm gonna do MMA one day. I just want to put the things together right
Yeah.
now. So I did Taekwondo, boxing. I did 1 year of wrestling in high school,
Nice.
and then that was it. And then I just started at the MMA Lab, Jiu-Jitsu, and I've been there since then.
Nice. So yeah, you have pretty fast ascension because yeah, you are like MMA since 6 years now, and you're already pro at LFA. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, like you say, you're training at MMA Lab in Glendale, Arizona. That's a great environment for MMA athletes. There's a lot of great fighters there. Benson Anderson, Alex Caceres, Cannonier, O'Malley. Um, was that the first MMA gym for you then that you
um
entered?
No, I actually went to Fight Ready
Okay,
because of Henry Cejudo. We used to box together back in the day.
nice.
And he's actually the one that encouraged me to do MMA. He's like, "Hey, you should try out MMA," and I was like, "Nah, you're crazy." And then he's like, "No, like you should. Like you're pretty good in boxing, and like I know you have Taekwondo like experience." And I was like, "Well, I'll probably try it out sometime." So I did go to Fight Ready for a couple months, but it was like not really training MMA. I was more boxing at Fight Ready,
Okay,
just because the coach that I was training with at that moment was there. He was one of the striking coaches there. But like actually like tried jujitsu and like wrestling and MMA stuff was at the MMA Lab.
at MMA Lab. Okay, and can you describe what it's like for you to train at MMA Lab and also how it has shaped you as a fighter?
Oh man, the lab has been great to me. Since the first day that I stepped there, I was probably 17, I think, 17,
Okay.
18. John Crouch, the main coach, he's always loved me since the beginning, always believed in me. He'd always wanted me to do MMA. He knew that at that time I was boxing, and he was very patient. He's like, hey, like, whenever you're ready to make the move, we're here.
Yeah,
And, yeah, it's been nothing but great there. The team that we have, it's great. We have amazing fighters,
for sure.
retired fighters, and it's just a great gym. Honestly, like we say this all the time. Like if you're from the lab, we say this all the time. The MMA Lab is the best gym in the world, and it's showing slowly
Yeah,
showing why it is. So
yeah,
yeah.
it looks great to be honest from the outside. So yeah, I cannot imagine what it is to be inside, but from the outside it looks like great gym. They do a lot of progress, make their fighters get better. So yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
And can you take us through your routine? Like, do you train only at MMA Lab, or are you also mixing it up, training some other places?
So most of my training happens at the lab. I do my strength conditioning there. I do my wrestling practices, our jujitsu classes, like striking there, sparring. But I do own a boxing gym.
Okay.
My husband and I own a boxing gym, and we box there like once or twice a week. I'm there all the time too, so it's like it's I know it's our boxing gym, but it feels like it. We don't feel separate from
Yeah.
the lab. We
Okay.
feel like it's the same, because my husband also it's a pad holder for some of the guys at the lab. So like he goes back and
Awesome.
forth, and
Yeah.
like we work with some guys, they work with me. So it's like I said, it's like a family. Our gyms are both like family, and we're
Yeah.
very connected.
All right. Yeah, that's good. So basically, you're all day, every day at the lab.
Yeah, literally. That's all. I live at the lab. I'm my gym. I'm never home. We also have a shoe store, so we own a
Yeah.
boxing gym and a shoe store. So between those three, lab, boxing gym, and shoe store, and then like house comes at the end.
And what would be your typical week? Like, let's not talk about when you're training for a fight, but when you are just like training, what are your days like? What is your routine training like?
So I it's now that you say that, it's crazy because it's the same as when I'm in camp. Literally,
Okay.
just the training, the level of
Intensity.
I guess yeah, it's a little bit higher during camp, obviously.
Yeah.
But I still train every day, twice a day. I go and like Mondays I go and lift in the morning, and the afternoon I box. Tuesdays I do jujitsu class, hits some mitts, and then wrestling practice at night. Um, Wednesdays I chill in the morning. If I've trained some clients at my gym, and then I go spar in the afternoon, and then do my classes at my gym. Thursdays, same thing, jujitsu, hitting pads,
Okay.
and wrestling practice. Monday, strength conditioning, and Friday, strength conditioning, and then I have the rest of the day off. But I do my classes at my boxing
Yeah.
gym. Saturday, we have MMA sparring, and then we chill Saturday night, and Sunday is our day to chill. We try to forget about everything.
Yeah.
But we still have the store, so we still go to the store, it's and in between all those days, like Monday to Friday, we have like three. At least I have like 3 hours in between. My husband lets me like stay home and rest or be with
Okay.
my dogs, clean whatever I gotta do, and he goes to the store, um, just to work. And then I go in sometimes. I'm like the one that takes the photos and that do the social media and all that, so I gotta
Oh,
be. Yeah, so I take care of all that, and then he does the rest of the work.
you're the community manager for your store.
Yes, yeah, literally,
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Okay, that's cool. Wow, it's a busy week, but yeah,
Oh, super busy.
I mean,
Super busy.
as a fighter and a business owner, I guess you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Not yet.
And yeah, so you mentioned your routine, which is quite impressive. Which aspects are you the most focusing on at the moment in your trainings?
My wrestling and my jujitsu.
Okay.
My wrestling. I think I try to focus a little bit more on the wrestling, just because jujitsu too. Like we do it all the time. I've been doing it a little bit longer than the wrestling. But I feel like most imp- wrestling at this moment of my career is like the most important, where I gotta um get better at, just as fights are gonna be harder and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and people are gonna try to take me down all the time. So I need to start stuffing those takedowns correctly and stopping takedowns.
To be honest, I think it's showing. Like we'll talk about your last fight later on, but I think it's showing a lot of progress in the wrestling department. So I guess
Thank you.
that's working.
Thank you.
And was it always like this? I mean, from the moment you entered, because you have, of course, a striking background, taekwondo, and highly skilled boxing, was that always what you were most focusing on since you entered the lab?
Yes, so I always focused on the jiu-jitsu and wrestling since I entered. Because I know I kick pretty good. I have boxing. I've moved. I have good footwork. But just focusing on that and then kind of like putting them together
Yeah,
instead of doing it by parts. I don't know like, if you get what I'm
I
saying. Like a
understand.
lot of times, like transferring, like for example, also from my striking, going from my boxing ending to a kick. Like I did taekwondo, but in taekwondo was mostly like kicks, just kicks, kicks,
Yeah,
kicks, boxing to hands. So now like going from hands to feet, feet to hands to wrestling to the floor, jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
getting up. So it's a never ending game. So
true.
yeah.
I'm gonna talk about your nickname. So I heard, I listened to an interview of you, which the MMA Islander, if I'm not wrong. Shout out to
Uh
the
huh.
MMA Islander. Uh, he asked you about your nickname, so I know a bit the background of it. But now that you're not looking like Dora, why are you still keeping it?
So that nickname, like I was telling MMA on there, I cut my hair short and I fight in the gym. Like I fight,
Yeah,
So one day a friend was like, "Hey, like you look like Dora, but like the Explorer." But he's like, "No, not Dora the Explorer." He's like, "You look like I'm gonna name you Dora the Destroyer." And he said that, and somebody else heard it, and they started laughing. And then Coach heard it, and Coach started calling me that. And so everybody calls me that. So I liked it. I stayed with it. I haven't cut my hair short. I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I'm like, because like training and stuff, I have really really long hair. So I'm thinking about cutting it again, but I don't know. But I love the nickname just because I guess everybody just knows me by that
yeah,
now, and people actually like it. So this last fight was the second time that I used it. And people were the first time I used it back in November.
yeah.
People were shocked. They were like, "What? What is that? Why did they call you that?" And when LFA reached out to me to put my nickname, what I wanted as my nickname, I didn't tell nobody. Like nobody knew that had put it on the paper, and so everybody was shocked. Even my husband was shocked. He's like, "You actually gave him your nickname?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, it was great." So people loved it. So just staying with it.
It's a nice nickname to be honest. It's a nice nickname.
It's different for sure.
And yeah, so let's talk a bit about your amateur days. You didn't have a long amateur career, at least on the information I got. I saw only three amateur fights. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So as you say, you started competing in 2018. You won all your fights. That's something also to mention. When did you feel that you were ready to go pro?
So when I made a decision to go pro because it was really really hard to get amateur fights for
Okay.
me. I went I think almost like a whole year, like 4 fights fall
Oh,
because they weren't taking it, and it was starting to like get hard just to fight locally, or even to go out of like town, like just finding opponents was hard because of that boxing,
yeah.
a lot of amateur fights in boxing background and stuff. And then also the name of I fight for the MMA Lab, so that brings a lot too. um but yeah, and like Crouch was like, "Hey, like I think we ready to go pro," and I was like, "I'm ready too. Like I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I have to now. Like it's hard to get fights, and I don't want to just let the years pass by just
Yeah.
training and training and training, and not showing it in the cage. So that's when we made our decision to go pro in 2022.
Okay, yeah, that's because I was wondering because of course three amateur fights is not a lot, and like for example, I talked last week with somebody named Tom Crosby. He's an MMA fighter in Europe in the octagon, and he had like 20 fights, amateur fights, before going pro. So that's why I was wondering why that difference. But of course, if nobody's taking you, I guess you have to go pro. And
Yeah, it's hard. Like there, we have a couple guys at the lab that they don't have that much amateur fights, like one or two, and they're making their pro debuts
yeah,
because they're so good either at wrestling or striking, and people don't want to fight them.
okay. In your amateur career, you had a break of a few years. Was it because, of course, nobody wanted to fight you, but was it also because of COVID? Because there was a COVID
Yes,
period, of course.
yes. Kobe had a lot. It was we took off, I think like a year
Yeah.
completely. I was actually about to fight for Combate uh America's back. I'd say Combate Global now.
Combate Global.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a battle fight for them. March of that 2020.
Okay.
Here in Tucson. I was gonna do an amateur fight. And then COVID happened, and then they shut. Literally, they canceled the fight a week before, and then they closed, shut everything down. Then a week after,
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was it was insane.
And
So
yeah, during that period, how did you go through with the pandemic? Because did you have already a business going on, or no?
no, so thankfully, like we didn't have no. That's when we decided to open our business right after everything opened up.
I understand.
Because we had lost our jobs and people like were still working like at restaurants and stuff. Because we were, my husband was a server and I was a server,
Okay.
and like our restaurants closed and stuff, so they were only doing like to go carry outs and stuff. So we had like to figure it out, and we were like, whoa, we know how to train people and we like to sell shoes, so let's just open this up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Simple,
so yeah.
simple as that. Um, Going back to your amateur days, so you weren't ready to go pro after three fights, but was it always something you were looking for, going pro in a combat sport?
Yes, yes, I always wanted to go pro in MMA. Um, People ask me this all the time if I always wanted to go pro in boxing.
Yeah.
Back then I didn't, just because women's boxing was really bad,
Okay.
but it's growing now, and boxing is like, man, I love boxing. That's what made me. That's where I'm here. Like I get Taekwondo. I did it for a long time, but I always say that boxing is what got me into like that serious. Wanted to make it into a career. Um, I want to do a pro boxing fight later on in the future,
All
for
right.
sure.
As in parallel as your MMA career, or after?
Probably after. I mean, you could, like, I guess you could fight boxing and MMA at the same time, but
Some people do it.
um, yeah, people do it all the time. I feel like right now where I'm at in my career, I like to focus on one thing. Like if I'm gonna do something and I want to do it right, I gotta focus and put my everything into it. So probably after,
All right.
um, mhm.
That's good to know. And yeah, so did you have an inspiration going like into combat sport? Where was it somebody you were looking up to?
um, yeah, at that moment back then was Henry.
And
Like I said,
Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo, because we used to train together, and we started boxing together as soon as he came back from the Olympics. So for me, that was like, man, like you won the gold medal, and then now like you're doing MMA, and it was great. Like he's a great person and stuff. So yeah, I guess I'll say him.
Yeah, I guess you have a bit of a similar past. You wanted to do Olympics also.
Yes.
That's fun. That's fun that you
Yeah.
had a role model like this. I think it's a great role model. Cejudo is successful in all he does, so that's great.
Yeah.
And in the world of combat sport, you must always be at your maximum physical capacity, but the mental is also a big part of the game. How do you train that?
Man, that's still like a battle till this day. It's a lot better now. But I was that was the most that's what I struggle with the most. When I turned pro, I guess it was right after COVID. Yeah, right after COVID. I fought two more amateur fights, and then those were good. And then I went to turn pro. My brother actually passed away in 2021
Sorry to hear that.
of Oh, thank you. It's okay. He passed away in December of 2021, and I made my pro debut May of 2022. I was honestly, I was like, yeah, let me do my pro debut, let me do this, and but mentally I was not there. I was
Okay.
just not. I was just not there. Physically I was. If I don't know if you could go watch, people could go and rewatch that fight. It was
Yeah.
on LFA. I made my pro debut. I lost that fight. Everything was just. I was just. That was not me that night. I Everything that I did in that fight was kind of like just muscle memory. I wasn't even thinking about anything. I had like any my weight cut, my my trip to Wisconsin, the fight day, the day after the fight, everything was bad. And I actually like I can say I probably was depressed for a while after that,
All right.
after that loss, and my coaches, Crouch and my husband, are always like, "Hey, like we believe in you. Everybody in here believes in you. You're great. All this, but you just gotta believe in yourself. Like you gotta. We can help you. We could help you so much, but this is something like we're gonna either get help, like talk to somebody, like a sports psychologist or something. We gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
And that was in 2022, and now that we're 2024, man, I feel a lot better. I've talked to people. I also got shoulder surgery in 20 March of 2023 last year.
Okay. Okay.
I got shoulder surgery, and I feel like that surgery was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me to this day, because it made me. I was out for a couple months. It made me not train. So while not training, it made me do other things and think about different things, and just work on my mental more, and miss training and missed fighting. And I was like, man, like I really do like this. I really do want to do this. Because before that, prior to that, I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to fight anymore. I was at that point, like,
Yeah. I
I don't
understand.
know, whatever. Yeah.
You had to take a
Uh,
step back to see that's what you wanted to do.
yes, exactly. And I feel like that surgery was like the best thing that's ever to me. Still, like, best thing that's ever happened to me in my fighting career.
Glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Now I have a little something for to try your reflexes. I have a small interlude which is called the Fight IQ Dash. It's 10 questions. You have two answers possible. You have to choose as quick as possible. Right?
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Okay. First question. For the pre-fight rituals, you're more into meditation or a music that hype you up?
Music.
All right. The hardest part, is it the diet or is it the training intensity?
Diet.
Fight analysis, you study your past fights or you study your next opponent's fight?
Wait, what's that again? Sorry.
Like when you prepare for another fight, are you reviewing your last fights or reviewing the fights from your opponent?
Um, my last fights.
For a winning move, you prefer a submission or a knockout?
Knockout.
All right. Post fight celebration, you prefer quiet time with your family or a night out with the team?
Quiet time with my family.
All right. When you watch fights as a supporter, a fan, you're more into analyzing every detail or you're just enjoying the fights?
Analyzing every detail.
Would you rather do prelims in Mexico or main event in Phoenix?
Main event in Phoenix.
this
Ah,
one, this one was hard.
that was a hard one. If you would have said main event in Mexico, I'd be like main event in Mexico for
Of
sure.
course, of course. As a career goal, you would like more to be a dominant champion in one weight class or being a tough challenger in different weight class.
Dominant champion in one weight class.
All right. For your fight gear, you're more into something classic or you like something flashy?
Flashy.
Flashy. And I know you are somebody who like kicks, you like sneakers. Jordan 1 or Jordan 5?
Jordan 1.
Okay. No hesitation there. So that was
No.
it. That was it for the quick round of questions. You did great, even for the trick questions. Now we can go on to your professional journey. You started your professional career on May 2022. It was 9 months after your last amateur fight. Was it because it was also hard to find somebody for your pro debut that you waited 9 months?
Yes, actually did. Yeah, I had I think two offers of two different girls I had said yes to, and they ended up saying no, and so they found Christy Taekwondo, and so I fought her.
Okay. As you said earlier, you lost that first pro bout via split decision. It was still a close fight, even though you were not feeling it and not good prepared mentally. What were you feeling after that fight? Right after
Man,
that fight?
I was, I swear to you, I didn't sleep for a whole month
Wow.
after that fight. It was like man, just kept thinking about it. I went back to the gym, sad, like I wanted to train more, but then at the same time, I was like, is this it for me? Like man, it was just, your, at least for me, coming from boxing, your dream of going pro in boxing, if you lose fights in boxing, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, you're not good no more because you
Yeah.
already lost.
Yeah.
It's they're really, people are really really hard, and promoters are really hard on records. And MMA is a little bit different,
True.
but I had that same mind from boxing, so that, like, yeah, it messed with my head a lot. I was very disappointed in myself. I was depressed. It was just really bad, and I don't know how I got through like those couple months, but I was like, you know what? Like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let me just get my mental right, and then I'll fight whenever I'm ready again. And I did end up making my second fight in November
Yeah.
of 2022, and
And
that was a good night. So
and that leads me to my next question, which is, how did you find the strength to bounce back from that loss? And also, do you think it was a blessing to be confronted to a loss early in your pro career?
yes, I agree 100%. Like my friend says all the time, she's like, the worst things that could have happened that weekend.
Yeah.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. My weight, my flights, the flights after, everything went bad. But to this day, I feel like that's the fight that, like, I learned the most about myself, and as a fighter, learned a lot from there. Taking an L sucks, but for sure, if you're made for this, like, it'll make you, like, you'll build that fire inside of you, and then be like, you know what, I never want to feel that shit again,
Yeah.
ever again. And I'm to this day, I still have that fight in my head right here, back in my head.
That's
Every
good.
time something, every time I'm in training or something and I'm tired or whatever, I'm like, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. I go back to that night, just like walking after I got down from there. I got cut. I went to the back to the doctors, just walking in the back over there. I was in the restroom crying for hours. Like, I didn't sleep at all the night. My eyes were this swollen because I was just crying, and then this eye was messed up, and yeah. So I go back to that, and I'm like, I don't want to feel that ever again. So
Good
yeah, for
mentality.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so as you say, you bounced back because 6 months later you were fighting again in November from 2022 at LFA 147. You won via TKO in 1 minute, not even 1 minute, versus Jasmine Pouncey. How good did it feel to get that first pro win?
That second fight that feeling it was amazing. I started crying after that victory, because it was just like, I just knew how hard I had worked that whole camp, how hard I had worked in my head, coming back like that from a tough loss. Like, yeah, it was great. Like, that's the moment that I'll never forget, for sure, in my career. Like, even this last fight was great too, but that fight was just, it just meant a lot more to me.
That you would you say that's a pivotal moment for you? That's something that's set things in motion for you. That win.
It did. I feel like it did. Unfortunately, I did get my shoulder surgery right after that fight,
True.
so that pushed me back a little bit again. And things happen for a reason. That surgery had to happen. Just like I said earlier. just work on my mental more and yeah.
And after, so you had to wait a year because of your surgery to fight again. Your next fight was, if I remember correctly, at LFA 172 in November from 2023. No, 172 was the last one, I think. Sorry. Anyway, you won again your by split decision this time in a also close fight, but I think you deserve the win in that one. Um, yeah, second fight, second win in a row. I mean, did you think that you were gaining some traction, some momentum?
Yeah, for sure. I was that fight. I was just glad that I was back in the cage, that I was back fighting. Um, my the surgery that I had, they had told me that I wouldn't be able to get back to training in 6 months. So I was fighting at 8 months already.
Okay,
I got back to training at 3 months post surgery. So yeah, my surgeon was like,
tough.
oh, he was like, man, like you crazy, like you gotta be careful, like. But I did my therapy, my physical therapy. I was like a maniac. I
Yeah,
was doing that twice a day, by myself. So I had to go to therapy 3 times a week, and then the other 2 days I on my own at my house. I stayed so disciplined to that just because I wanted to get back into the cage already. And that fight, it was a hard fight. Not my best performance,
yeah,
but we got it done. And I I was more happy about that one just because I felt my shoulder felt so good after that fight. That was like what I was kind of worried about.
yeah,
I was like, damn, I just want to see how my shoulder's gonna feel because there a couple times before that, like I could still feel like I could still to this day I could still feel a little bit. Now it's a lot better, but like back in November I could still feel like
yeah.
just certain movements, and I'm like ooh, I gotta be careful there. I can't leave my shoulder there. Um, but it's great now, and yeah, that fight just I was just really happy just to be back.
Nice. Did play a role? You think that you went to the decision in that fight? Did you think that the fact that you weren't sure about your shoulder because you came back from surgery that played a role that you were more cautious than usual?
Yeah, I was a little bit more cautious on certain positions, certain stuff that I'm used to doing a little bit more. Like I said, just because of that, and then also I was away from the ring, from the cage for a whole year. So like you just being out for that long, also like people say it doesn't get to you, but it does get to you a little bit.
Bit of cage rust.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we are going to talk about your last performance, which was beginning of February, 9th of February to be exact, LFA 176 versus Brittany Camozzi. First of all, it was a win in front of your own crowd. How did it feel to be like at home and displaying uh, so much skills there?
Man, it was amazing. I was just really, really happy to have everybody witness what I'm really capable of. Like my fight before that I got the split decision, I didn't get to show that.
Yeah,
Only the people that train with me, people that know me, that see me in the training daily, know what I'm capable of. So the crowd and the fans don't haven't been able to see that yet. And I feel like this last fight they witnessed a little bit of what I'm capable of. So just really excited to keep that ball rolling, and yeah, it was amazing to fight in front of all my people here, friends, family, teachers, like
yeah,
bunch of people from everywhere. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Leslie. I'm gonna go see Leslie." So I love that. I love that because, like, before the one in November, I've been fighting. I fight in Wisconsin. I fight in Iowa. So I haven't been fighting home. So fighting back home again feels great.
nice. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the fight I discovered you with, your last performance. After that, I watched your other fights, but that was the first one I saw. And first, I thought that you were from a wrestling background, so that's why I say that. Yeah, that's why I said that it's showing that you're doing some progress in wrestling. Of course, you fought against a striker, Ritne Kamuzi, but still, I think your wrestling was really good, and you were not afraid to go to the ground. So I think that's great. And one thing I wanted to mention also, that was your first fight on the main card. Before that, you fought in the prelims for LFA. were you proud of this? Were you proud of being on the main card? Did you think that you were getting finally some recognition?
Yeah, so I didn't know I was fighting on the main card until fight week. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, when I saw it, I was like, this is crazy. Like, there's no way. Like, I've been fighting prelims and, like, I mean, I don't mind it. Like, I, I love the show and everything, but I really like to fight.
Yeah.
I just want to be in the cage, Like, the rest is cool, too. But just being on the main card in my hometown, like, oh, man, it was like I couldn't believe it. Everyone was like, "Oh, you're fighting the main card." I'm like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Until like that night, like until the next day, that people were like, "Oh, we saw you in UFC Fight Pass." Like people, my family from Mexico, like friends in Mexico, like we saw you live. Like I was like, "Oh my god, that's so crazy!" Like it's just so cool, man. And yeah, that was amazing. LFA great for that one. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Next time, main event maybe.
Oh yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming. Trust me.
So you got another TKO win in that fight versus Brittney Kamosi in the last seconds of the first round, really close to the bell. Um, is that something that you're aiming for, the finishes, as soon as possible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We don't get paid extra.
for sure,
So,
for sure.
so yeah, that's always the plan. Going there, not going there crazy, but going there good, composed, and if it's there, it's there, and if it's not, we'll go into the next round. But yeah, that's always the plan. Just go. Like my coach say, just go in there and have fun. Do
Okay,
what you best. Like just do what you can do. Do the best that you can do, and this is what happens when you do have fun and you do the best that you can.
for sure. It was a really good statement, I think. Um, so now that you have that win again, that's 3 wins in a row. So 3 fight win streak, 2 finishes in those 3 fights. Do you think that you're getting noticed now by people? I mean, by people, fans, media, all the fighters. Do you think that you're getting noticed?
Yeah, so this last fight I did get a lot of love, a lot of support from media,
Yeah,
which I'm really I don't really put myself out there as much like I should. I'm more like that person that just fights and trains and shows up and whatever whatever you get, but I've always told that to my husband and my people around me. Like, I I want people to notice me, but I don't want to do it by talking, by showing your body and doing all these things. I want to do it by fighting, and I
yeah,
want people to like see me fight and like my style of fighting and do exciting fights like this last one.
yeah.
So that's my goal, to make it to the top and make it big in the media. That's how I know that's how I'm gonna get
I like that. I like
there.
that. And if you look back now at the beginning of your pro career, which is still early, but um, what would you say was your biggest improvement since you started to fight?
My mental.
Yeah,
My mental, yeah, for sure. For sure. That's the hardest and my biggest improvement, and I'm still improving every day, but I feel like a lot of other like athletes say that most of it is like mental,
yeah.
and I agree, cuz I've experienced it, so.
And do you think that if you compare to your first preparation for a pro fight, do you think that it has evolved, your preparation, your strategy?
Yes, that too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have right now I'm in that place where I feel like everything is just in the correct spots.
Okay.
Well, and I'm doing, and then what I'm doing is working, and I'm gonna stick to it and just trust the process.
Now we're gonna take a quick look into the future because you're really young in your career. You have a lot of potential, I think. What are your aspirations within LFA and even beyond LFA?
So the main goal is to make it get to the UFC. I do want to fight for the LFA title.
Okay.
I do want that title, and I want that fight this year. Like I want to fight for the LFA title this year, at the end of this year. Um, So by that way, this is how my plan is: fighting for the title this year and getting called by the UFC or the Contender Series 2025.
All right.
That's my goal right now.
So, but that's a requirement for you to get that LFA title. Like you prefer to go to the UFC having that belt and not without it, right?
Um, if I can make it without it, fine. But if I could get that belt before, it would be great too. You
Yeah.
know, I've been fighting for LFA. I had my this was my fourth fight with them, and then I have four more fights with them coming up. So, yeah, I would love to hold that LFA, that promotion that looked at me from the beginning. I
Sure.
would love to hold that title. You know, so they've been great, nothing but great people, and been putting good fights for me and stuff. So yeah.
Do you think, of course, it's still a bit early, but do you think that you're already ready for UFC level at that moment? Now we're talking. Now tomorrow you have a UFC fight. Do you think you're up to it?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
that's cool. As as we wrap things up, because that was actually my last questions for you, Leslie. As we wrap things up, do you have anything that you want to add for your fans, for your other fighters or organizations, whatever?
No, I just say thank you to everyone for supporting me and for um riding with me from the beginning. A lot of the people, a lot of new followers who've been showing love since this last fight. Like I said, this last fight, the media, I had probably like four interviews,
Yeah,
which I never get interviewed. I like that because I say I don't put myself out there, so not a lot of people know about me and stuff. I did in boxing, but now in MMA it's a whole new world.
true.
So I've been having a lot of new people following me and UFC fighters. A lot of my Mexican UFC fighters that are over there like showing me a lot of love. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I'm just super happy and super grateful.
That's great. And by the way, where is your store located? Your business,
Uh,
your shoes business?
the actual address
Wow, just the city.
in Phoenix, Arizona.
All right, then you know
Yep.
what? I'm gonna add to the description of the video. I will also add the socials from your store. I hope people will go also take a look at it at your boxing gym, at your shoe store, at your socials to give you some support. And to be honest, it's been great to have you here. I'm really happy that you came. I had a great moment, and I wish nothing but the best for the rest of your career.
Man, thank you so much for having me today.
Can't wait to see you in your next fight.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can't wait.
So that was it for today's interview with Leslie. Once again, big thank you to her. She took her time in order to be with us and share her experience and her journey. I will put her socials in the description so you can follow her and give her some support. I think she really deserves it, and like I said in the intro, she has all it takes to be a future headliner from the sport. She has a huge potential, and she has also an amazing and kind personality. Hit the comments to let me know which part of the interview did you prefer and which lesson did you learn from Leslie's experience. I'll see you in the next Fight IQ show. Take care.